I planned to go live this morning, but I'm a bit sick this week, and yeah, the topic I was going to talk about, I've decided to change that too. It relates to pitching and presenting with kids, but I want to share a story with you. I was at a workshop last weekend, and I went without my kids, but it was at a space where I used to host meetups for parents in a startup space at Invest Ottawa. And it was a workshop for community leaders who are interested in co-creating a new arts organization in Ottawa and collaborating on what that's going to look like going forward. So it was, I think, called an action lab or maybe a learning lab, but it was hosted by Arts Ottawa. And this is typical. This always happens to me, usually when I least expect it or I'm not prepared. So I came to the workshop. I told them I might be running late, and I told them I might not be able to stay for the whole time. I got some stuff going on where I can't be in busy environments for long periods of time, or group settings will make me more tired because of got a brain injury thing I'm healing from. But so I showed up a little bit late. I participated in the workshop. I listened to the panels, and then at the end they had some group workshop sessions where they wanted us to collaborate, and someone came up to me with a microphone and he came up to our group and he said, "Is anyone interested in providing some feedback on what you've heard so far and your takeaways from the workshop?" And everyone was kind of at our table, and I was the closest to where he was standing. So I just said, "Sure, no worries. I'll give you a soundbite, or I'll speak about what I think." And I went into the hallway, and he had a microphone ready to go, and he was doing video. So I thought it was just like an audio on your phone recording, but no, it was impromptu video interview on the spot. I was had been there for about 2 hours at this point, was planning on leaving around that time, had a bit of a headache, but thought, okay, I'll try to participate in the group thing. Ended up doing a video interview Saturday morning, didn't expect it. This was after I hadn't slept great. All week the kids have been off with the time change, and it's been spring weather one day here, freezing and snowing the next day. So I want to tell you this because I wasn't prepared. I didn't go with an incentive or a motive to speak. I wasn't my best self. I had a headache that day. I wasn't feeling amazing, and we hadn't slept great the night before. But I always have thoughts. If people ask me a question, I usually have thoughts. I'm usually okay with sharing my opinion. And really, what it comes down to, I think, is, do you trust yourself? How much do you trust yourself? And what I wanted to share with you this week, I had some notes written down about patterns I've observed over the years when I'm coming up with topics or doing guest speaking or pitching something, writing an article, any opportunity to share your ideas or your thoughts. Patterns I've identified that kind of indicate that you're probably going to have some questions or some pushback or more probing or thought-provoking questions from the audience. And I decided to scrap that for this week. I'll come back and talk about it next week on our car park live stream next week. And I'm going to break it down into a few areas. And I'm also going to talk about how I prepare for this and how you can prepare in different strategies. So last week I was talking about pitching and presenting with kids, my experiences over the last almost 9 years of going into business settings, and the kinds of questions that I've gotten from different workshops, different webinars, different environments that I've been in. And this week, on that note, just having this impromptu interview on Saturday reminded me yeah, this kind of stuff happens to me a lot, but also I let it. I could have said to the person, "No, I'm not really feeling like giving my opinion today," or "I'm not really feeling like sharing my thoughts." But I accepted the invitation. I trusted myself. I rambled off a few observations that I hadn't prepared in advance, but I had jotted down some notes throughout the session that I wanted to follow up with them after to share my feedback, because there was a lot of people asking questions of the panelists that reminded me again of some of my experiences, things that I'd had done that I knew could help other people if I shared those experiences. So my question to you this week is, how much do you trust yourself? And that involves everything from, like, do you trust yourself? For example, like me, I've gotten a job interview previously when I had a toddler, didn't have childcare, and I asked if I could bring him to the interview, and I did. Did I trust myself to do that? Did I trust myself to, ask that question? Yes. Did I trust myself to show up for the interview to the best of my ability? Yes. Did I trust myself that I could navigate the interview with my toddler? I think so, but I also wasn't 100% sure how it was going to go because that was the first job interview I'd done with a toddler in the room. But prior to that, we had been overseas. We'd been in England, and I had applied to a program, and I'd gotten in, and that same child was 7 weeks old whenever I started that program. Did I trust myself to show up to the workshops every week? Yes. It was a 10-week program. I navigated the route. I tested the route out, timed how long it would take me to get there. Did I trust myself that I would be able to navigate transport for London, trains, overgrounds, buses to get there? Yes. But I had practiced quite a bit before that, taking the public transit. But I was a first-time mom. I was a first-time parent. Did I trust myself to know how to do a startup program with a baby? I didn't really have any reason to. I didn't really have any track record to show me that I'd be able to do that. But I trusted myself and my ability to try. And then if we keep going back, there's so many examples I could give of times where I didn't know how it would go, but I trusted myself to figure it out, or I trusted my ability, or someone sometimes encouraged me to do it or pushed me into something, and I was able to do it. And by doing it, I was demonstrating that trust. And really, I believe self-trust, it's like intuition, it's like confidence, it's a muscle. And the more you do things, the more you embody it, the more you take action and meet those expectations, even if you fail, worst thing that could have happened, wouldn't have got the job. I ended up getting the job, but worst thing that could have happened, they don't call me back and I don't get that job. The other worst thing that could have happened, I missed my sessions for the startup program and I don't actually get to do all the workshops, and they maybe tell me, sorry, you're not eligible for the program anymore. That didn't happen. Another worst case scenario was my baby could have thrown up on me during a pitch. That happened. Lots of things like that happened. And did I survive? Am I still here? Yes. Was it uncomfortable at the time? Yes. But then did it increase my tolerance and threshold for being able to do hard things afterwards? Definitely. And I just want to know, if you're listening to this and you're a parent that is either a new parent, or you have a few kids that you're working around, but you maybe haven't brought them into business settings, maybe haven't tried to do a pitch alongside your kids, or maybe you haven't applied for many things because you thought that maybe it wasn't the right time or it's not the right season of your life. And I'm just curious to know, is that you? And are you feeling limited by those things? And if so, why? And what can we do about it? And the next follow-on question would be, and how much do you trust yourself to try something different, or to put yourself out there, to show up with your kids, to get out of your comfort zone? And regardless of how other people receive you or what the reaction is, how much do you trust yourself to figure it out in the moment? So that's it from me for this week, just because I don't have much of a voice. But I'll be back on next week sharing the Q&A patterns that I've noticed whenever I'm pitching a topic or fleshing out a workshop, or coming up with an idea that indicates that I'm probably going to have some pushback or raise some questions. And that's not a bad thing, but how I identify that and how you will be able to use this not only with public speaking and pitching opportunities. This applies also to media relations, public relations, putting yourself forward to build your brand or build your business, or even just putting yourself out there in a networking sense, like on LinkedIn, at events, getting more comfortable with introducing yourself and telling people about who you are. So this will apply to all of those things, and I look forward to sharing some more of those tips with you. So thanks for listening, and I'll catch you back here next week.